to a show.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. My guest this episode, is going to be someone you all know. If you've been around, listened to the podcast for a while, y'all know this lady. She's been here from the early days of the podcast and periodically throughout. So it's almost like I don't even need to introduce you. But my guest today is going to be Miss BJJ Mama. How you doing?
That was such a good intro. I feel like we could have kept going to see if people could guess, right? Like never say who it is and see if they can figure it out.
I've done that, but mostly because I've forgotten to do the intro because I just hit record and just got to talk. I was like, da, 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 oh shit, like 20 minutes. And it's like, we never introduced you.
I'm gonna introduce this person, BJJ Mama here. What's up? Oh my God, we've done like so many. I was literally just thinking as I was getting ready. By getting ready, I mean like walking around my house, getting the dogs out to go to the bathroom because our chill podcast. Oh my God, there was one where I was like during COVID in my husband's office trying to be all set up. There was one where I tried to do it against a wall because I had no idea who you were, if you were really someone that was like, going to try to murder me. So I didn't want you to be able to see anything in my home. And I think there was one where I was in the bathroom with the door closed because my kid was upset. Yes, you remember. Oh my gosh. So many. This is great. It's been such a journey.
It's almost kind of like whenever I record with you now, it's like, where will the location be now? There'll be one episode where you're on the roof of the house. Like, yeah, we're on location on the roof, just redoing the roofing today. It's like,
oh my God. So the good thing is now you see I know they can't see, but you can see whatever. We can be ultra descriptive. I have my little arrows in the background in my little office chair. This may be the regular space now that I'm a work from home lady.
Nice.
I'm not going to call it an office because I'm really just at my dining room table. So let's be real. This is where I am at now. But yeah, man, we have had quite the journey though. Like, wow.
I was just talking to someone about where the podcast started. I went to an Orioles game yesterday. I'm not really a big baseball fan, but it was for a buddy's party and for his birthday. Like his birthday was in December, so it was a surprise party. I'm into baseball when I'm with them because they make it fun. Like they really pull you into it. So I'm always there and I'm enjoying it. But I was talking to his parents about it because I can't remember how it came up because I don't normally mention the podcast.
You don't run around telling the whole world that you're BJJ Wiki and Off the Mats podcast?
I try to keep a.
What's wrong with you? I tell everyone I'm BJJ Mama. I don't even introduce as myself.
Well, the funny thing is I have a BJJ Wiki fanny pack, a BJJ water bottle. I'm wearing a BJJ Wiki jacket.
I got all the swag.
So it's like you guys, it's like, and I'm usually wearing all this stuff around people who don't know what the hell that is. They're just like,
right? Oh my God,
what is that? But as I'm talking about, the podcast and where it came from, how it all started. I was explaining how I started jiu-jitsu really with the ideal of doing a podcast, an MMA podcast. And I wanted to know what I was talking about on the mat before doing a podcast on MMA. And then I said, screw that. I like this. I don't have enough time to make a podcast. I want to focus on jiu-jitsu. I love this. And then when COVID hit, that's where it kind of really hit because it was like, I'm not seeing my friends. I can't communicate with anyone. I've got some extra time on my hands. Let's make the podcast happen. And, when I look at the journey of, who's been there, I think my teammate Mark, he was the first episode. So he's the anniversary episode every August, first
awesome.
Monday of August. After that, who did I have? My friend Angelina, one of my guys from Nerd Rage was episode 3. One of my old coaches was episode 4. Then you were episode 5.
I'm top 5. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You sure? So we sure? Top 5.
I think, yep. You're
Don't
number 5.
Don't get me excited. Okay.
No, I remember very, very clear because the thing is, I was trying to figure out covers for the episode.
Oh, I remember.
And
Yeah.
like I think, well, so Mark is the first one, that actually he was like like he was shown, but then everybody else has started using action figures and like just things around the basement as the cover. And then when it came to your cover, it was like, okay, there was like you hitting the tire with the sledgehammer.
Oh my
And
God, that's right. And you did a video type clip or something too. Like it actually was moving. I remember
yeah,
that.
and yeah, so it's like when I think back to like where it all came from, where it all started, it's like, I always do a shout out at the end and I say, thank you to everyone who's been listening, who's been there along this journey, and that includes, people like yourself, like Mark, especially those of you who have been on here multiple times, because it's like, dude, you put up with me more than once.
Oh my
That's
God,
super
it's so
cool.
fun though. Like, why would you not want to sit at home in your PJs and talk about jujitsu and life in general? Which I think is what's cool because honestly, I was so nervous the first time because I was like, I am not a jujitsu pro. What is this? I don't know what I'm even going to talk about. I'm a dumb white belt at the time. Not that white belts are dumb. I'm just saying,
Yeah, they are.
like me personally, I was. But no, I do. I remember being so nervous. And then the funny thing is, and we were just talking about this a minute ago. I recently did a more like business minded, had to go in, do all this stuff. And it's just so funny the difference. I had a really good time. The host was wonderful. It was a really great like business experience for me to get myself out there. But it's just so nice to have this dynamic too and to see that it is successful. Like people are enjoying your stuff, man. Like you're growing. It's like totally taken off.
I hope. I don't know. It just, to me, it's just I have to be me. And if the episode means that I'm cussing, so be it. If it means, I mean, I've got multiple podcasts, and some of those other podcasts, sometimes it's just the training wheels are off, and I'm just saying things that it's like, oh man, like last night, I actually had to stop the like we're recording live in
Yeah.
person. A friend of mine. Actually, I think you and him, like you two, have been on the most episodes together. Like I think probably about the same amount. Um, and he and I were sitting there talking. And I was telling a story, and I said something really out of pocket.
Oh,
And I go, okay, I'm gonna take that. I
yes.
gotta edit that out. I got a little too comfortable there just now, and my bad. He was like, "Oh, leave it." And I was like, "Absolutely not," because if that person listens and hear that comment, it wasn't a
Intro.
bad comment. It was just one of those things where
Yeah.
it's like, because I like
Off
to
the
make
cuff.
observational humor. Is like, and I see some like, oh, I made like kind of a funny crack, and I was like, I think it's funny, but they may not think it's funny, so let me just take that joke out of there.
Oh my
But
gosh.
the whole thing is like with doing this with just friends, it's like it gives an opportunity for us just to be ourselves and have fun. And my key to this podcast is really for like when we finish, I want you to be able to say I was comfortable and I would love to do it again.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feel that way, then I didn't, I failed,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
need to
I
figure it
no,
out.
I love it though. And it is so funny too, just thinking about the evolution of like, I so remember being like, I don't know this person, but I guess I'll do this. And remember, we like didn't show, like, you didn't have your whole face in like almost the whole episode, or for you and I, for what we could see, right? I know the viewers at home
Yeah.
can't see our faces, but I remember thinking like, what did I sign up for? I don't know this person. What is happening? And then it ended up just like, you made me feel so comfortable. And to, I really appreciate, and this is a shout out for other people that are thinking about doing a podcast. They should definitely be on yours because you really did a good job of like making me comfortable. But then also after we were done off the air, there were some things that I was like, oh man, I don't know. Like as a business owner, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or,
Mhm.
I mentioned something that maybe was a little overly personal right now that I'm not ready to share. And you were so Awesome. I feel like I even remember one of the first episodes I said like a curse word, right? In the evolution of
Yeah.
me, if you know, I have evolved a lot, right? I totally remember messaging you and being like, I think I said shit. Can you just edit that? And you didn't make fun of me. You were like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I just appreciate that.
Well, like I said, the show is yours. You know, you all as a guest, this is your show. I'm just here, but it's like there's only one person's. You know, oh yeah, I was talking to someone about my ban list, and I forgot this person. They're banned from the show. They're still a good friend of mine. I really
Okay.
really adore them, but they're no longer welcome back to the show. They were a nightmare to work with in
Mm.
terms of like I don't care if they hear this because I've told
Oh,
this to them, but I've explained to them, you know, as we're sitting there recording, like they would answer a question, and then like 10 minutes later, it was like, "Can we go back and work on
no,
our
God,
conversation?"
no.
And it's like I was like, "What, girl? Do you not? No, we're not
No,
doing that.
sir. No,
No,
sir.
no." I did fix it because the episode would have sounded horrible if not. But I was like, they can't come back.
You're fine.
I can't have them back on the show. They've been on multiple times, but after that, it was like, okay, not
Well,
never again.
I'll try to be
Um,
on my best behavior.
no, you're fine because you know, I think what it was really a matter of like super control of your, you know, of their
Oh, yeah.
image, and they're like, oh, I don't want to look like this, I don't want to look like that, and it's like, you know, whereas with yours, it came from a perspective of a business owner and a parent, you know.
Yeah, I do remember those were the only 2, and it wasn't even anything that, like, I really thought was that serious. I just was so new to this whole process and, like, our studio and COVID and being, like, a first-time mom, and I do remember just being like, let's, like, change these 2 things, please."
Yeah, and it was perfectly fine because there were easy fixes. It wasn't like you
Yeah.
said, "Hey, can we go back and change something complete?" And this was like editing was new to me, so I was like, "I'm gonna try."
You did good though. No, it was great. I mean, I get that though about the image. So, one of the things I'm doing now, I know you follow me on my new page. I was so torn. I was like, all right, am I gonna be covert about the 2 different pages, or am I gonna be open about what's going on? Because I have some jujitsu people that follow me. Um, but like I
Yeah.
what?
I was just saying, I mean, you know, it's not like, you know, they're both, you know, good pages. It's not like I have 14 accounts and I know at least 3 of those accounts I don't let people know about because it's like the memes that go up on those accounts are like, ooh, like
So that's the thing. So not that I'm like trying, and it's so funny because I figured this would come up when we talk about it because I think it's good. I think it's interesting. So I'm working now. I'm doing social media and digital marketing for people. So I obviously had to think to myself, I'm like, okay, I have a good jujitsu following. All our jujitsu people are super cool. I've got lots of engagement. My reels have good views, but I'm like, I don't think business people want to see my jujitsu stuff. Like
you-
maybe I need to.
you'd be surprised.
Well, I know. So I thought about it long and hard because I was, going out and pursuing clients and work and da da da. And I was like, okay, at some point, someone that I'm trying to convince to like pay me to help them, they're gonna want to see like my content. So I created that, social media strategies that work page, which is so funny because, and I know you're gonna get this, it's such a long handle, but I was talking to someone recently, like at a business networking thing, and she was so funny because I was like, man, I know it's really long, but it's, I told her and she was like, oh my God, that's genius because it's exactly what you do. And I'm going to remember it. And it's exactly like, that's the whole thing you do is like help people with social media. So yeah, I started that page. And then, I mean, I know you follow me there, so you kind of see. So it's funny. I do share some stuff from here and I'll just put it out there now because I thought about it. I will share this podcast on there, which will be a fun little like the people will finally figure out like what my other page is, right? Because if you know, but if you don't, I don't make it easy for people. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yep. It's like kind of like connect the dots or to leave you breadcrumbs.
Yes.
It's
Like
like
if you
if
go dig, you'll figure it out. But I'm not going to tell you that BJJ Mama and social media strategies that work are the same person. Like,
I had a guest on the podcast. I want to say it was back in March. Awesome guest, nice young man, and actually he's been on a couple times now. I'm gonna try to get him on a horror movie podcast soon.
Okay.
So, um, he, as we're wrapping up, I do my closeout and everything. It's like, if you all have any questions, concerns, criticisms, feel free to reach out to me at bjj.wiki. And and he goes, "Wait a minute, are you you
He
BJJ
didn't
Wiki?"
know.
And I looked, I was like, "What?" Like, dude, I repost your stuff all the time. Like, how did you not connect? I repost my own stuff. How do you not connect that? This is all the same. He was like, I never knew. I was like, really? Okay, well,
That's so funny. Well, I mean, I think if you don't make it super clear and say it. So my thing on, for keeping it separate, number one, I really don't mind someone that meets me at a business function and asks me my name and I tell them my first and last name and then they attempt to look me up without knowing my business handle. They're going to find BJJ Mama, right? But, I try to like walk a fine line of like, okay, this is the business content. So it's almost turned into like a thing now, which I think is a little funny when I repost from BJJ Mama specifically with the intent of like analyzing a piece of content or using it as an example. Cause I still show my face on both pages, right? But if you notice, I don't put like from at BJJ Mama or I like get rid of the handle. So I feel like when this episode airs, it will be out there now for everyone, which I really don't mind. It's just so funny. I did a post on the social media business page where I said specifically, because I get the question a lot, like how come you don't have a lot of followers? Like you're trying to act like you're a social media person. And it has happened. I went into a meeting and some wonderful person who was a client out looked at me and she was like, you only have like 100 followers. What's up with your social media? But you're saying you do this. And I was like, well, actually, I have another page. I have, I do stuff. So, I mean, that was the main reason. Again, because I don't think that someone who wants me to help run their content wants to know anything about a rear naked choke or Ezekiel or taking them out. Like,
I always look at it kind of on the other side of it too. When people look at my account, they'll see the following count, and it's like, oh my goodness, you have so many followers. Like, how did you do it? And it's like, I I don't know. Like, I honestly have no idea. I've had people ask me like, can you help me grow my page? And it's like, I cannot help you grow your page. I just don't know what I'm doing, dude. Like, and for me, I think I came into this kind of at an interesting time where social media was obviously a thing, and there were plenty of jiu-jitsu social media pages, white belt BJJ, because that's what actually kind of was the precursor to BJJ Wiki. Actually, it was a teammate of mine, a former teammate of mine, who asked me to run this page for him,
yeah,
his website, and I told him, I was like, "Yeah, is it okay if I do Instagram? Like, just I feel more comfortable there." So yeah, do whatever you want, and it took off.
yeah,
And it wasn't by anything that I did initially, because I was really just kind of fumbling around. Once I found a pattern of my posts, and then the thing I always try to do is make sure I give credit to whoever the post is from. And I think that's a big part of what helped me, is that I wasn't, because there are a couple accounts. I think it was one account called We Love, or I'm sorry, We Heart BJJ. They blatantly take other people's content, take away the watermark. I called them out for it, and they
good for
blocked
you.
me. So, and they have like 5 accounts.
It's funny that you mentioned that because number one, that always comes up like follow count, right? Like people assumed you know everything about social media because you have this mass following. But then on the flip side, I'm doing it for work and people immediately assume because I have less followers that I don't know. And I it's just perception, I feel like, in the social
Yeah.
media space that people don't understand. But like you were saying, the authenticity kind of part about you, we're giving people credit. So that, I don't know if you noticed that video that I shared that you did, but I feel like you reshared it and I gave them credit too. It was the one of John Travolta, right? Walking out.
Yes.
Was that
Mhm.
your original piece or someone else's?
Mm-mm. Someone else's.
Right. But it had their watermark in it, and then it had your handle on it too, and I had shared it. Have you even 52 something thousand, like all these views, but I continued to go post and say like, "Hey, y'all need to go follow BJJ Whit." Like, this isn't me. This isn't my post. And I feel like people don't realize you can like repost with integrity and still have good engagement because you're being like an authentic person that gives people credit.
I think what a lot of people, there's this clout game where it's like you want to be the person that broke the story first. You want to be the originator. You want to be the one known for it. Whereas, like me, I'm very introverted. I'm very shy. I don't want like I mean, you see me here. Like when we first started, like you said, I
Yeah.
had half my face in the screen of on camera. Right now, I'm hiding behind a microphone as best I can.
Well, I at
Even
least
though
know
you,
what you look like now
yeah,
after like 4 years, I think.
like you've seen me, you know what I look like, but I'm still very like, no, I must hide. But when it comes to like any of the content going out, there is this thing where I think people want to make it like again that one account, they scrub people's watermarks and then they put their own, and it's like, yo, what are you doing, dude? Like, give credit. Even white belt BJJ did it to some people. And they called him out. I guess they're friends because I read the back and forth, and it seemed like
Yeah.
they're friends, but he was still kind of annoyed by it. But for me, when I do make a post of my own, I put my watermark on it, and just leave it at that. I try to put the watermark in a spot where you can't just kind of uh, crop it out, but
Yeah.
also at the same time, I don't really care too much. That there's a post I did way in the beginning. I don't even remember what the meme said. I saw the saying somewhere else, and there was a picture of a young man with Down syndrome with a blue belt. He just won a competition. His hands are being raised, and I posted it, and everyone took it, reposted. Tom DeBlas reposted it, and not one point did I get, tagged or mentioned back on it. And I didn't put a watermark. This was like maybe my first ever post. And I was like, okay, lesson learned. This is
Yeah.
what I must do now. But also at the same time, like I said, it doesn't bother me too much because it's the internet
Yeah, I mean, at
and
the end of the day, come
everything's
on, you put
everything.
it out there. And you know what's so funny you say that, because on the business page that I have, I try to teach people how to use social media for business, but also how to do it in a way that like they're not completely glued to their device. So like, okay, if someone else in your industry is sharing something awesome, you want to spend an hour recreating it to try to do it better, just reshare theirs, give them a shout out and say they're awesome. And then you've created a connection, you've given someone credit, you've made it a point to be like a real authentic person. And it's just so funny that people don't get this, because I remember that the video that I had done that you had reshared, and it was so funny because Instagram changes things so often that
Yeah.
now I'm pretty sure when you repost a reel, it makes it as if it's your reel and doesn't always so like it does it through your real setting. So if that person didn't
Yeah.
have a watermark, it would look like you were trying to say that it was your own reel, I feel like. And some people can go in and delete. I mean, I know they can because I know how to do it, but like, they go in and delete the captions and change the hashtags. And
Mhm.
I'm like, why would you do that? And I remember when I shared that video and it started blowing up, I'm not gonna lie, I panicked for a minute because I was like, oh my God, did I make sure that I gave everyone credit? I want to make, like, I was not trying to do anything. I thought this was a really funny video and I reshared it. And then I went and double checked and I was like, okay, good, I did. It had like your watermark. And I think I even tagged, was it BJJ Ocean? Who was it that did that
I
original?
think it was BJJ Ocean, I
Ocean, I
believe.
think so. Yeah, yeah. So I went and I actually made sure that, like, okay, good. It did say both of their names. The tag was there. Like, we're all good. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, dude, that reel completely blew up, and I got a ton of new follows and stuff just from like resharing something. But I gave everyone credit. I don't know. I think people just get like really butthurt on social media sometimes, or they think they're trying to reinvent the wheel, right? That they can do it
Mhm.
better. Well,
I think that's the thing too. It's like the important thing is, like I said, you gave everyone credit, and it did well. You know, and you're not trying to hide and act like it's yours. You know, I think those are the important things about posting. I think also when it comes to any of this, I've had people where I'll repost from one person, and then I'll get someone in the comments saying, "Well, at least you could do is tag the person who this came
oh my
from."
God.
And then I reply back to them, if you know anything about my page, you know that I give credit wherever it's from. Now, if the person, I had this, I wrote this out to one person. And they were cool about it. We had to get back and forth. But I told them, like, I only post what I know. So if I took it from this person, they didn't do their work on their end,
Yeah.
that's not on me. You know, and again, they were cool about it. And I found out who it was originally from. I tagged that person in it. You know, I think for me that goes a long way, just in being genuine and just letting people know, like, look, I'm not here to steal from anyone. It got a little tricky when Reels started
Yeah.
paying. It got very, very slippery because I felt bad because there are people I was reposting from who weren't getting paid. Meanwhile, I was getting, however much. I wasn't getting a lot. It was like a couple bucks,
Yeah,
for a
they're not even
post.
doing it anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a heartbreak because they were funding a lot of my podcasts and stuff, a lot of my equipment. Like I got
Well,
new
now apparently
mics and everything.
yeah, you got to get verified now. That's where they're trying to get the money. I don't even get me started. That's a whole nother day.
Yeah, they took away the Reels bonus, but then they said, hey, by the way, so they actually offered me the blue check mark years ago, and I thought it was a scam, so I declined. And then
What?
when I went back to try to get it,
They're
they're
like,
like, yeah,
sorry,
nah,
sucker.
buddy, sorry, you're out. I was like, God damn it. Like,
But you know what?
but
I've heard negative things about it though from like some pretty big people that said that like they don't feel like they even got the support that, they were marketed that they were going to get. And
I've been vocal about the blue check mark for a lot of the new blue check marks now that I'm
oh,
seeing,
yeah.
because there was a thing to it for me where I go into my likes or whatever, and you can go and change the filters to see verified, who's verified that liked or commented your content. I go and I see WWE wrestlers that liked or commented. I see some big jiu-jitsu names that
Yeah.
um Violent J from the Insane Clown Posse follows me,
Sweet.
shit like that. So, and I don't even like the Insane Clown Posse, but we
But
from
it's still
Detroit,
cool.
so
Let's be real.
what's up? Detroit represent. What's up? Get Charles Fago pop. But it was like, it was a cool thing to be able to see, because it wasn't like there was a flood of those types of check marks. And now I go and look, and it's like some random Joe Schmo with like 200 followers, and it's like, who the what?
Yeah.
No, get out of here. And also, like I told my wife recently, I take it more as a badge of honor now, not having a check mark, but having so many followers, because it's like I don't need that
Yeah.
check mark to get,
Yeah.
the
I think
clout.
even without the check mark though, like, because I always run into this with people asking about like follow count and all this stuff. Do you know how many messages on my new account that I set up that I get where people are like, hey, buy these followers, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is ridiculous that this is still a thing. And that people immediately ask about follow count. I mean, I get it. I do get it, especially like if you're trying to say that you do this for a business, right? Someone looks at me and they're like, okay. So then I do have to sometimes, and I feel silly when I do it, is where I do some of the reshares where I'm like, when people think you don't know what you're doing, but actually you have videos that have, like really good follow and you do know what you're doing. It's I feel like a hard game.
I think also one of the weird things about it too is like, oh well, this is what you're doing, but you don't have a lot of followers. It's like, well, because I'm too busy helping others build their product.
Yes. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
so I don't know. People are always going to have comments. People are always going to say one thing or the other. I think at the end of the day, what it really boils down to is you put in the hard work. There's word of mouth that, can vouch for you. And for
Yeah.
those that are like, oh, well, you only have this many followers. So what do you know? It's like, well, I know that, I promoted and pumped up this account, this account, and they're doing great. You know, I've helped them do
Mhm.
that. And I'm too busy working on other people's stuff to really worry about mine. So, because
Yeah.
I've had those messages come in for this account, for off the mats, for so you like horror,
Yeah.
Kalampton. I get all these little messages saying, hey, do you want to grow your follow count by like however many number? And I always just
Yeah.
delete them. It's like, no, get on my face. Because even with Kalampton, I accidentally, it's just a repost, and I just fall into the lucky,
Yeah.
that lucky hit on the algorithm.
Yeah.
And now older posts are starting to pick up speed, because my buddy, he messaged me, he was like, oh, we got some traction on this post that you posted 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't, it
That
just
video
happens.
I reshared from you was from 6 weeks. Okay, so I did a case study on my other page, the business social media page, where I took the exact same video that you had shared, whatever, but I only did obviously just the video, like the face, so that I could change the message for a different
Mhm.
target. And I put it up, and I'm going to go back in 6 weeks and I want to
Mhm.
see. So I did a case study. I posted it, I think yesterday, where I said, okay, everyone. And this is where I'm like starting to kind of like let people figure out the at BJJ moment. Now that I've got clients, I've got, I'm growing. And like I said, I don't mind that people know the different pages. Like they will see them and they'll figure it out. But I don't ever walk into like a business meeting and being like, hey, check me out at BJJ Mama on Instagram, right? And like some big business meeting. Um, but yeah, so just doing that study of like, okay, well, I shared it here and it in 6 weeks blew up. Now let's do the same thing with a different, text over it. And it was funny, I actually I don't know if you saw it, where I said Instagrammers after one reel gets
Yeah.
10,000 views, quitting their day job, ready to be a full-time content creator. Like, so we'll see. We'll see. I think it just depends who you're speaking to, who your audience is. And I mean, not, I think I know, it also is like what your purpose is, right? I think a lot of
Yeah.
people had fun with social media in the beginning, but now people are starting to realize like, oh, dang, this is like a real marketing tool that we can use to grow and make money and build something and community.
I think also, um, when you really look at, what the objective is. Like my goddaughter years ago saw BJJ Wiki and was like, how do you have so many followers? I was like, I don't know. And she was like, I want that many followers. And I said, so I was like, why?
What?
Why do you want that many followers? Now, granted, she was 14. She might have been older, maybe 16. Because I think this account has been up for 6 years now.
Oh, wow.
How old is my daughter? My daughter's 7, so it might be 5 years. But the whole thing is, it's like, why do you want that many followers for her?
Yeah.
Versus, again, if you're a business, it's like, yes, it would make sense to want that. But I think too, again, it's just
Depends.
something, it's a surface thing. It's like, it doesn't, just because you have a bunch of followers doesn't mean that it means anything. I have a bunch of followers, and I can tell you that a lot of those are probably scam robots
Yeah.
that are like, hello, sir, ma'am,
Oh
would
my
you like to
gosh, right.
buy a gi? Like, no.
Oh my God, the amount of tags that I get, I'm gonna say the name because I have tried to message the company and I want to scream sometimes at the messages. I think it's called Fira, Fira activewear. I posted about it a few times before. So what's funny is it's one of the things where when you go to their page, there really is like they've got leggings and a brand, but then I think they have like regular people that just message anyone, but they tag you. Like they don't always private message you. Sometimes they just tag you in stuff, and they're like, "Don't message here. Make sure you message, the
Yes.
direct account." Blah 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 blah. So, oh my God, I have to send you the screenshot of what happened because it was hilarious. I did a video recording. So I messaged them, the actual company. I went to their page and I was like, hey, friends, like, I was super nice. I was like, I appreciate what you're trying to do, build your brand. could you please remove me from your potential ambassador list that goes on to whoever it is that has it, because your people have been blowing up my phone. It was a bot. They immediately were like, oh, you're interested in our ambassador program. And I literally responded with, no, I'm not. And then they were like, oh, that's so great to hear. And then you could see like me devolving in the comments of like the rage that was happening, where I was like, they're like, does that sound like a great plan? And I was like, no, that doesn't sound like a great plan. I don't want to work with your company.
You guys suck. Do you
But
not
like,
understand these words?
and then they were like, well, we'll wait to hear from you. So excited. And that's when I started just losing. And I was like, I'm going to report you to the Better Business Bureau because you're driving me nuts. And this is borderline harassment. Meanwhile, I'm talking to a bot. Like, let's be real. Come on. I don't know what I was thinking, but they got me. I was so raging.
I think early on, because I didn't get it just yet, I didn't understand the whole bot thing. So they, like, I had been reached out like, hey, promote your thing on this page. And I was like, okay, I'll go promote it on this page. And then it turns out like, oh, wait a minute.
For $500.
It's like, I'm not doing that. So I did just look at the post that we were talking about with John Travolta. So my repost of it only got 1,000 likes.
Mine got more?
Yeah. So that kind of goes to show you that the movement of social media, and I think
I'm looking now too. I think it's awesome that you went and looked at it. Okay, so what was yours? The view count?
Let's see. It was on a BJJ Wiki. Where am I? Oh, I hate that they took the dates away. Now they just put how many weeks ago.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks ago. But I also post like 9 times a day, so it is buried. But I looked, I was like, I don't, because when you said, I was like, I don't think I got that. I don't think I even broke 1,000. Like, I think I just got some late likes on it like this last week. But it's at 10:45. Well, 10:46 technically.
So we have to do this here for all the people that are listening that don't get it. Okay. So because I want to do this because I'm going to share it on my business page too. In comparison, your follow count and then what the views were on that versus my follow count. And because I want to compare. So you tell me on BJJ Wiki where you reposted it, what's your follow count on that page?
I think it's 111,000.
Okay. And your views on that video?
Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Let me look at my views on the video.
I'm geeking out here on you.
21,000.
You got 21,000 views on that repost that you did. The one with John Travolta, right? Mm-hmm. And you have, say, your follow account one more time.
111,000.
Okay. Are you ready for mine?
Mm-hmm.
I only have 3,471 followers. And that video that I reposted and gave credit, because I hope you saw when you went and looked at it that I tagged you and the original person, 53.9 thousand views.
Nice.
But like, that's such to paint the picture that, like, you know, it's not about how many people follow you. It's
yeah. I mean, well, it's that, but also too, it's like kind of hitting at the right moment. I'm looking here at like,
we both did it 6 weeks ago because that's when mine was.
Yeah. I mean, well, and what I'm saying though is like, you know, for mine, it was just kind of like just throw it out there. You know, it's just one of many that goes out. Yeah. Whereas like with yours, it's more deliberate. I feel like, you know, absolutely. Like you're not posting a whole lot. So I do think that matters. Like I'm looking at the reach. The reach was 19,000.
Yeah.
11,000 of which were followers. The other 8,000 were not followers. So
what was the non-follower reach?
8,000.
Okay.
Mine was 8,483 to be exact, but 8,000.
So mine was 46,712 non-followers versus only 617 followers. That's just like such a good example to me though, when I like go into meetings and I talk to these clients and like, I need you to get me 1 million follows.
Yeah,
why do you want 1 million people to follow you? What if none of them buy anything from you? What if I could get you? This is what I try to explain to people. Like, do you want 1 million people that are just going to like your stuff because it's like happened to go out at the right time and no one buys anything from you, books a service, or allows you to monetize it in any way? Or what if you got like 150 targeted people that resulted in like 50 sales? I mean, from a business standpoint
Yeah.
specifically, or resulted in like 50 business connections.
I think to some of their ideals, it's like, look, if I put, the net in the water and and in that water is a million people, I'm going to get 200,000 fish out of that water. And it's like, nah,
And you get
maybe, maybe not.
100,000 DMs that want you to do
Yeah.
something
Like,
else.
they want you to buy a gi. They want you to, they want you to be part of their Sarah McLachlan Arms of an Angel dog
Oh my
program,
god.
because I get those a lot too. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
what? Like, on what page of mine do you see? And it's not that I don't like animals. I love animals. But on what page of mine do you see anything saying, hey, I want to sponsor a dog? Like, no,
That's
I
what
want a
gets me
dog.
is like the people that don't do their homework though. Like I'll get them. This one's kind of funny. Is I will get them on my BJJ Mama page where I have shared that like I work in social media space and digital marketing and stuff. And I kid you not, I get messages of people that are like, "Hey, do you want to learn how to grow on social media?" I feel like I'm gonna start being like, "Yeah, sure. You just tell me what you think."
I think I'm gonna start messing with them too, because I still get those on BJJ Wiki. Like, do you want to grow your social media account? And it's like, yeah. What
I,
more can I do? Tell me,
yeah.
tell me.
I'm on it.
Um, there there is a thing also too that took place back when I started this account, when I was running a Facebook page, and I was explaining to Tony at the time, who was running White Belt BJJ, and how I was also running the Nerd Rage Radio Facebook
Mhm.
account. And the one thing that he was all about, big numbers. He wanted big numbers. And I was like, okay. I said to him, I was like, okay, I can say this from experience.
Yeah.
With Nerd Rage Radio, we had 700 followers, but they were 700 loyal followers. They listened to the podcast. They bought merchandise. They sent in questions.
Yep.
They were a part of Nerd Rage Radio. When Bobby would have Skullfest or Skullstis or have stuff for the patron, they subscribed. They were in, and that's the power of those small numbers, because it was
Yep.
close knit. Whereas I looked at the BJJ Wiki Facebook at the time; it had 35,000 followers, and there was no connection at all. It was like, nobody's interacting here. No one's doing anything. You have posts going up, but there's no life to this. And and then he was like, well, that's kind of why I want you here, because I want you to breathe some life into it. And I was like, well, big numbers isn't what's going to breathe life into this.
Mhm.
Interaction here
Yeah.
is what's going to breathe life.
Engagement,
Now,
100%.
I don't engage much on the Facebook page. I don't go on Facebook much. I end up on Facebook on accident. When my wife tags me in a
Same.
video on Messenger, I click the video, and then when I click out of the video, I'm on Facebook, and I'm like, shit, I didn't want to be
Yeah.
here. And then it's
Same.
like, hey, you've been invited to a party. And it's like, oh no, I was trying to say I didn't see it. Like, I was supposed to go to a housewarming party yesterday that I didn't
And
get
now
to
they
invite.
know you saw it.
Yeah, it popped. I
Decline,
saw it on
decline.
Friday, and I was like, shit. Now I got to text this dude and tell him I didn't see it until the last minute. But um, it's like, even on Instagram, I don't do a whole lot of engagements in the comments, just because it can get very toxic. I do talk to people in the DMs though.
But I
When I
feel
put
like
up,
your followers do a good job of connecting with each other, because I have gotten
yeah,
some follows from being on your page that have turned into like big engagement in the comments on your page and on mine.
yeah, and I think that that's a big thing too, is that having the right people engage, because I very rarely engage in any of the posts, comments, or anything.
Man, we show up
It
for you.
Yeah, it's like, look, I'm gonna give you this thing, y'all make it run.
Go.
But like, when I do the mental health post, I do engage there a little bit. But I take it to the DMs, because I don't want people's personal business out there.
Yeah.
I've had individuals, kind of, tell me that they disagree with my post, and we'll go and talk about it. If it's in a respectful way. There was a post I put up recently where an individual, it was weird, because I put up a post about Men's Mental Health Month. And to be fair, I don't think we should have any months. I think we should, like, these are things we should always be talking about.
Yes. Oh my God.
Not just
Don't get me
like
started.
and that goes for pride though too. It's like that should be something that should be a year-round thing. You should be proud of who you are. We should embrace and accept these folks. It shouldn't be an individual month at all. These things are all goofy. But someone jumps into the comments and says it's funny that I see all this stuff about pride, but I never see anything about Men's Mental Health Month. I didn't touch it. I think I probably liked it like after a couple days. I was like, I'll give you a
That
like
is
just so
sick.
you know that I saw it. Because usually if I give a like, it's me letting you know that I saw it. And then someone fired back at them, and it was basically like, well, it's because a man wasn't just randomly, a man has never been randomly attacked and left for dead. And at that point, I was like, I should jump in this,
Going
but
south.
I'm gonna see if they can work this out as adults. And then it just kept going back and forth. And then that individual who fired back, talking about, a man hasn't randomly been attacked and left for dead, at some point said, well, men, it's your own fault that you're having mental health issues.
No.
And so people like that, I don't engage with.
But that's the hard part about social media. And I feel like, unfortunately, people that do that give the rest of us a bad name, right? Like I see so many people, in my work life that talk about how they just hate social media. It's such a negative thing. It's so terrible. I'm like, yes, if you consume the wrong media, or if you engage with the wrong people, or if you allow yourself to take it too seriously. Not that you shouldn't take it seriously if you're trying to like monetize it or build or whatever, but to not allow it to like consume you, I feel like, and to know that it's just like if you went into a room with 10 people, you might not like 3 of those people, but you have to choose how you interact with them. You don't just walk in and start like throwing crazy accusations and being rude. I mean,
like this entire room is toxic. It's like that one person is toxic.
Yeah.
Everybody else is over here chilling, eating the fruit salad.
Thank
Like,
you.
why are you
100%.
angry at
Like
me?
we're here for the snacks, and now we're all a terrible room of horrible people.
If ever I show up to an event, just understand I'm there for the food. Like I never show up for the actual event. There was something that went on at work the other day. I wasn't there because I wanted to be there. I was there because they had food. If they didn't offer food, I wasn't showing up. So, if ever I show up someplace, just know that there's food to be found. Um, I feel like when it comes to the engagement, though, for me, again, I don't get engaged with people that I know are trying to troll or look for an argument. Now, there was one individual when I put up a suicide awareness post.
Oh yeah, you told me about this.
He said he disagreed with me, and it wasn't malicious. It wasn't an attack. We went and talked, and it was a good conversation back and forth. And I think there are people who love to engage with trolls on the internet. There are people that's just how they decompress. I'm not that person. I think sometimes for myself, and it's not really a matter of like kind of shooting myself down. I don't have the patience or intellect to go like have the stats on hand to argue with somebody about whatever it may be that they're arguing, because I didn't come into this conversation for an argument. I came into the conversation for whatever. Now I did with one lady, and I actually still have the post. I copied and pasted because I was super proud of what I wrote. I was like, oh my god.
I do that sometimes. Copy and paste and send it to a friend. I feel like I've sent you a few of them where like, let me show you what I responded. So don't come for me in the DMs, because BJJ Wiki will see it. Period.
Like, oh, trust me. I just had somebody recently. I'm not gonna put any specific names out there, but there's like as far as who sent me what, but the whole Gabby Garcia stuff that's going on, they sent me stuff weeks ago.
I need to get on and see. I don't even. Okay.
They're like, it's all falling apart over here. All of the students are leaving. She's not paying the coaches. It's just all this stuff, and there's this thing to it where like as I'm thinking, I was like, okay, so I could repost this, and they told me, they're like, go ahead and repost it. I was like, the thing is, I don't want your name attached to it because I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. But also the thing is too, is like these are insider details that are super early.
Yeah. Like
I don't want to say no. So after some stuff start coming out through other sources, then I repost it. quite a
Mhm.
few things. But there is also just that, where it's like, you have people that are like, I get DMs with tons of like, back and forth. It's like, can you believe this shit? Or look at this. And I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh,
I
I
can post it
know.
if you want. If you want, I'll put them on
Oh my gosh,
blast.
mine are only ever to vent because for me and my purposes and my goals, right? I'm not trying to be some like jujitsu political like
Hmm.
martyr or anything. I just think it's sometimes funny the clowns that send me stuff. And I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah.
just need to share this with one other person. So you're the other person that gets to see.
Well, there are things that I just encounter where I'm like, I should send this to someone because I got to make sure I'm not crazy. Then I
Oh,
just
that too, yeah.
I end up just blocking the person. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to sleep. He's like,
Yeah,
I don't
I
have
feel
time
like
to be
I've
done with this person.
definitely gotten to a place like, versus during the pandemic, I feel like everyone was glued to their devices and getting all like ragey in the comments sections and everything. Like, man, now if I get like a weird um follow or I get in the DMs, especially now that not that I have again the large following that you do, but like you can go to my real section and see the views. So I have gotten a lot of people that message me for all sorts of things that they want, or they want me to rep, or they want me to do, or just like obviously the creepers that show up in the female jujitsu's inbox. And I used to let it really bother me, or I would be annoyed, or I would feel all sorts of whatever. Now I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Immediate block and report. Peace out.
Yeah, I'm
Moving
quick to
on.
block and report people. It's like because I've told you before how my setup is. You have to follow me in order to comment. So
Yes, which I like.
I had some people come at me on the Columpton page because I that page is just kind of off the rails. I don't even know what I be posting half the time. One day it might be basketball, the next day it's beer, the next day it's Biden, the next day it's Trump. I don't
Mm,
know. I don't care. It's just whatever I see that's funny.
yeah.
I put up something about Trump
Oh God.
and they came for me. They were on the warpath. And I was
Well,
like,
come on. You know that you do. They would.
it's
Come on.
like,
Come on.
like
Yeah, you
maybe, maybe.
do.
Like I honestly felt like when I put up the post, it wasn't even directly a Trump thing, but people started sending DMs to me saying, "Why are your comments restricted?" And I was like, "My comments
Oh,
are
they thought
restricted."
that. Okay, I got you. I'm with you. They thought you had
Um,
restricted it, but they don't
and
follow.
yeah, I told him, I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Well, do you know how to read?"
Yeah.
Like the one guy's like, "Fuck you," and I was like, I guess you don't." All right, peace. And then another guy, he wrote something. I don't remember what he wrote, but I just happened to be on at that moment that it came through, and I replied,
Mm.
"Shut up."
Oh my
And he goes, "Oh, that was a fast response." I was like, "I just happened to be here when you sent that post." And then he, as a mature human, he
good.
goes, as mature as you can be,
Well, right.
arguing on the internet. He goes, "So why are your comments restricted?" And I explained, I was like, "Well, they're actually not restricted. They're set up where you have to follow
Yeah.
in order to leave a comment. And the reason for that is I get a lot of spam bots that come through that
Yeah.
want me to
Promote it
buy their
here.
products. Yeah, the promote it here, guys, things like that. And I also, at the end of it, saying also a lot of trolls don't want to follow. Like a
Yes. Oh
lot
my
of trolls
God.
aren't
Yeah.
going to
They
put
don't
in
want
that
to
extra
commit.
step. And he was cool. He goes, "Okay, I understand. Thanks for the info." I was like, "No problem, man. See you around."
That's what I
And
think people don't understand about the internet. Like, we can just take a minute and have like okay conversations, even if we disagree, but also like, don't take it so seriously.
yeah, I'm looking to have an episode at some point on here where I can just have somebody on that I completely wholeheartedly disagree with and just have
That
a
would be
mature
good.
conversation. But at the same time, too, it's like it has to be the right individual.
Yeah,
It
that's
has,
willing to do,
yeah.
because I've had a few of those. Especially, so it's so funny. After that video, I noticed quite an influx of young gentlemen that follow me, or my male demographic changed when I shared that piece of content, which is funny because it was the John Travolta video. Like of all the things for me that
Yeah, I'm
I could
telling you,
have
Johnny
shared.
Johnny Q is a good looking dude, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like of all
Gotta
the
be feared.
content I could have chosen to put out there to attract that demographic, it was the video of John Travolta. But no, like I've had some comments where, you know, I thought it was gonna go south, but then I made sure that like, hey, I'm gonna speak with integrity, but I'm also gonna like voice my opinion, but also walking that fine line. And I feel like to listen, at the end of the day, it is social media. Oh my God, I'm not losing sleep over whatever some person who knows where in a basement thinks of
I'm right here,
me.
Paige. You don't have to
I
put
know
me
you're
down
right. You're
like
in your
that.
basement right now. But I feel like on the flip side, because this is so funny, I was thinking about like our journey. I'm like, I don't even remember how did I honestly, more than likely, because I'm never afraid to ask for things because I always feel like you put it out there and if someone says no, what's the worst? Like, did I do the like, hey, if you ever need a guest, or did you ask me? I feel like it was in some sort of conversation about something that like it then has grown to like us kind of, I mean, not that I feel like I do a whole lot for your page other than I share some stuff and tag you and you say that sometimes that's helpful because you don't have to then create content. But I mean, you know, I just think it's neat that like if you do it with integrity and you have an open mind, but also you're careful because like, you know, let's be honest, I wasn't like, hey, random BJJ Wiki, here's my life story and my phone number. Can we be friends? Um, you know, like you can have some pretty cool things that come out of it.
It's funny when I think about the connections, interactions that I've kind of stumbled into here through Instagram.
Yeah.
And I, you know, always my wife always says, "Oh, you have a lot of friends." It's like I actually don't have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people that I interact with. I don't have a lot of friends. Like I always tell her, there are three people specifically here on through Instagram that I connect with, that I talk to semi regularly.
Yeah.
Yourself being one, and
Uh,
you know, two others, one of which is in Europe, and another one that's in down in the south,
mhm.
southwest. So you know, I interact with you all individually, and it's not even like a everyday thing. It's like we may not talk for a couple weeks, but
Yeah.
there is the check in, like, hey, how are things? How you feeling? How's life? Just touching base. And the thing is like I do make myself available to people. I'm not saying I don't care. I'm not saying that these other people don't matter. But what I'm saying is like when it comes to like people that I would say are friends to me, it's like if I'm if I'm in a weird way, I'm like, dude, I need to, kind of vent. And I think these individuals might understand what I'm, saying here, what I'm going through. It's like you and the two others I know I can kind of actually, I'm sorry, there's four of you. There's another guy in Central California or Northern California. I don't think Central California is a thing.
That's
Um,
okay. It's the internet. Someone will look it up and tell you you're wrong or
yeah.
congratulate you for being right.
That's how, like, if you ever want to get the right answer to something, go onto Twitter and make sure you write it absolutely wrong, so
Yep.
somebody can
Someone
come
will
over
tell
there
you.
and correct you. But you know, I always try to keep in mind like the internet is a wild place. So when it comes to interacting with certain people, I'm so when we do the nerd rage stuff, my buddy Bobby does this party called Skullstis and Skullfest. Now I think it's Skullstis now, Spring Skullstis, because his screen name is Bobby Skullface. And
Super sweet.
one of the conversations that came up on one of the more recent episodes was him opening his doors to people from the internet. We had two guys from Ireland show up, a couple guys from England show up,
What?
um, a guy from Canada, two or three dudes from Texas. It's like in I think what his thing is like it's through these are people who pay for the patron service, and he's had some time to kind of interact with them and go back and forth. And there was one year I'm there every year, but there was one year specifically I was ready to put some work in on somebody because they were making threats to someone else. And I was like, I can handle it and it'll be done very quickly. He was like, no, 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 I got it covered. He talked it down. I'm glad he did. Because the dude was kind of big, he probably would have fucked me up. Like, imagine getting your ass beat around action figures. Like, he's getting stumped, and there's like a Captain America figure just falls off the shelf, and some X-Men figures fall down while you're getting your ass beat. That, like, I'd be traumatized. But he talked it down, and he was talking about basically with having these people in his home, he does a pretty decent job at screening
Yeah.
before offering to invite out. I mean, it's even weirder for these people to say, yeah, I'll make this trip to a guy who I don't know. And now you're in their home. So I watch a lot of horror movies, and I saw one recently where that was kind of the thing. Oh yeah, we'll go. And then it went south. But when I think about that, and I think about my interactions on the internet and who I connect with, it does become this question of, my trust level. How is it?
Yeah.
And I don't trust a lot of people, but I do this weird thing where I'm extremely open. I will tell you, and you ask me anything, I will say it. But there's also this curtain though that I don't. And these are like the deep things. And you would think some of the stuff that I say, you're like, oh my god, there's deeper things. It's like you have no idea. But the thing is, it's like I'll talk about being in foster care. I'll talk about the abuse. I'll talk about all these things, and people are like, "Oh my god, you're so open. You have all these friends. You have all this stuff." And it's like, no, a lot of this is therapy.
And I feel like too, it's such a balance, because that's what I hear so many people that are like, oh, you share everything about your life. And I'm like, actually, I'm pretty particular about what I curate and choose to share, which gives the illusion that I share everything, but we don't share everything. And I think that that's where, like, I mean, that's what's keeping me in a job, is that people, okay, I need to build my following, or I need to use social media for business, but maybe they're like using it like it's a personal, like you just understanding like how to really use it to connect with people without telling your entire life story and giving your social security number and banking information. Like, come on.
Wait, we're not supposed to give the social. Oh boy.
Oh my God. Right.
I made a mistake. Well, that's the thing too, is like as open as I am about a lot of things, I don't put my face on Instagram. If I do, it's very, very rare. It's extremely rare. I might do it once every 3 or 4 months. I'm just, and it's not even a matter of privacy for me. It is really a matter of just like, I don't find it for myself to be useful. And I know that it can be useful. Like whenever I put up student BJJ, whenever I put up his one post where he's wearing a shirt saying, and I'm introverted but willing to discuss jiu-jitsu, which I wore that to the baseball game yesterday.
Oh, you did. I got my husband that shirt from Zach, right?
Yep.
Right. Yep. Shirt. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Whenever I put that post up, because it's him wearing the shirt, that post, and normally when I do posts like that, they get maybe like 5 likes. Yeah. But because it's him in the picture, it usually get like 500 likes, because it's like, okay, there's a person here attached to it, versus if it's just something super generic. I think the scenery is also, because it's like outside, it's like a nice day, so I think that helps a lot, because I have others that I repost and they're like wearing gear and it doesn't do as well. Yeah, but they still, from what I understand, get sales. So
I think too, that's part of like strategy, whether you realize you're doing it or not, right? Because I know we also discussed that like you and I have a very different like goal, obviously, for social media. Like I will, when I get requests for follows and stuff, I will block people. I mean, obviously, even under 5,000 follows, I get a lot of like people that request. And if I get any sort of feeling immediately, if I go to a page, obviously it all could be a front, right? I mean, it's the internet, but like I do my best to still police that. But I feel like part of the strategy, like you said, putting the face, if you don't normally, but like walking that fine line of, the different type of content that you put out there. Like that's what's so important. And that's what gets people excited, is it's not always the exact same thing. And sometimes you don't show the face, but then when you do that one time, like that's the thing that was really well received, right? And then making sure that you remember that, which I think is cool that you remember and acknowledge that, so that then, okay, maybe in like a month or so, we'll do something similar.
Yeah, I know back when Jits Bitch, she was growing in popularity. She was growing in popularity right out the gate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the things that she did was she had this mystery thing going on, and no
Yep.
one
It
knew
worked, man. It
what
worked.
she looked like, and people tuned in. But then she started getting harassed because people wanted to see, well,
What
who's
she looked like.
behind this camera. And she had said to me that when she did post herself, it was kind of a mixed bag. Mostly, creepers, but
Yeah.
she lost a lot of follows too for revealing herself. Um, and it's just weird how that works. Where, like for me, again, I'm almost kind of like a reluctant social media entity because it's like, again, I didn't go out for this following. I was just posting, and once I found a system that worked for me, it seems like, well, my teammate, he pointed out what it probably is with BJJ Wiki. It was like you have a blend of things. And
Yes.
talking to Danny Patrick, he even pointed out something about it being that it's like there are people trying to copy your page, but they can't quite figure out what you're doing. It's like it's very simple what I do. I think
You,
it's like I mix it up.
yeah.
I give you a meme, I give you a technique video or a competition video, and then it used to be the website, which I'm working on getting that back up and running. I have the site; it's done.
Yeah.
It's just not published. Um, there's some kinks I'm trying to work out on my own side, but I will post something from the website to
Mhm.
kind of like, here, this kind of goes
Yeah.
along with the technique I posted before. And once I lost, that capability, um, I started posting stuff about, hey, I'm going to promote, if you got, gear, I'll post it here. If you have a mental health post, I'll post it here. If you have, a GoFundMe that you want posted, give it to me. I got you.
But I think
So it's
that's
like,
what, sorry, I think that's what lends to your success, though, is that like you're authentic and just trying to help people. You do have a strategy, but like you're loose with it, which I know that sounds like contradictory, but like that's what makes it work. Is like you're giving just enough of this structure that people know what to expect, but you're loose enough with it that people enjoy. Ooh, this was something different. Oh, that was a little different than what, he usually does. And like, I feel like we can see that you really are trying to build people up. I mean, I'll be the first one to say that, like, I think before you and I connected, my page was just pretty stagnant, whatever. But now I do something, you reshare it, and then people like it, and it is helping me grow. I'm never gonna act like it's all me, but that's also part of the strategy, is like connecting with people and
yeah.
like building those relationships.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I always try to make clear too, is like this page isn't on me, because for starters, I repost other people's content, so
Yeah.
this is definitely a community page that is grown by others. Like, Instagram sent me the thing like, here, set up subscriptions. I was like, oh, that is a disrespectful thing for me to do. Like, here, subscribe to me so you can see other people's
Other
content. That you know, like, it's like there's been nothing more disrespectful. So, I always feel like too, when it comes to just, how we approach these things, there's certain posts that I'll put up, and the intent is always jujitsu, for people to learn a move, learn something. And there's a post I put up last week. It was two young ladies, and I didn't think anything of it. I
Uh-oh.
just saw a technique video, and then I started reading the comments.
Oh Lord, why'd you do that? You put it, were they two pretty girls, I'm sure, right? In
Two very
jujitsu.
attractive
What's wrong
girls.
with you? You can't put that on the internet.
Yeah, it's like, the reason I went to the comments is because I saw like 15 comments in one shot, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh
like,
no.
what
Oh,
is this?" And it was all for the same post, and it was just a bunch of dudes just,
yep.
you know, thirsting. And it's like,
Yep.
dude, like, and then you get some people. There's a young lady I posted several months back, and again, I didn't think anything of it because that was a good knee bar she did. All the comments were talking about,
Yep.
she has a big butt, and that's all they could talk about. And then talk about, oh, stop sexualizing jujitsu. It's like, I didn't sexualize it. You did. You're looking at it that way. I
Yeah.
see a knee bar. So then I went just to test something. I went and posted that same knee bar done by Mason Fowler.
And
Comments drastically changed.
yep,
Like, so
great knee
it's like
bar. How
people,
awesome.
yeah, like, oh man, that's like kick ass, such a sweet knee bar. And sure, maybe some of the smaller details are changed, but it's a move that works all the
Yep.
same. And it's like all of this is just a big goofy thing. And it's just like my intent is to put out content that people can learn from, people can laugh, people can take away from it, and then there are people who want to try to attack it and say, oh well, man, it's your fault, that your mental health is in the shitter, or stop sexualizing jujitsu. Oh, this post isn't even funny. It's like, then why are you here? Why are you
Yeah,
on my
I
page?
also feel like it can go the same for the person that's consuming it. So there was, I'm not going to say names, maybe you'll figure it out, but there was a account that I followed, Jiu-Jitsu account, and they shared some memes and some things in the wake of the submarine situation, and I did not even engage. I just unfollowed. I don't need to show up and tell you that I don't like your content and I'm unfollowing you because it's rude or anything other
Yeah,
than, okay, cool, this isn't for me anymore. Bye. Like, I feel like everyone feels the need to, like, oh, this is terrible. I can't believe you. Blah, 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 blah. No, okay, bye. This is not for me. I don't want to
yeah,
consume it. I don't want to see it. Keep doing you. I'm out. And then just
yeah.
move on.
The second that you tell me that you're going to unfollow me is the second I'm going to post it in the stories to let people see how stupid you are, because it's like, who fucking cares, yo? Now,
Just
sorry, my language
leave.
is starting to get real sharp right now, but it gets under my skin,
It's
not
spicy. Oh, yeah, when they
because
feel
of,
the need to say it.
yeah, it's like, oh, I'm no longer following you. And it's
You stuck around to comment that.
and you want me to go cry? Like, oh my God, it's you. You're the one that's going to topple this house of cards. It's you and you alone.
But you know what's funny though is the people that do that, from the person that works in social media, you're boosting their engagement.
Yeah.
You're
True.
helping the metrics every single time that you show up and you want to be negative or you want to say why someone shouldn't do that. I mean, it's you're just helping the algorithm.
Yeah. I've stopped even, worrying about it. It's like there's certain accounts that if I see no profile picture and no post, or it's private, or they don't have any followers but they follow tons,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yep.
like, okay, this is a troll account, and
Mm-hmm.
someone just commented something. Someone's always commented something, but this was something that stood out to me a little bit. And um you know I looked at it and I was just like, whatever, dude. Like, and then I put up a post the other day basically saying, if you have an account like this, I don't care. And I can't remember who it was. They commented. It was like, well, you putting up this post actually says the opposite. I was like, no, not really. I'm letting you all
Make
know,
it clear.
don't bother.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna post, and chances are it's going to get ignored. I'll see it, obviously, because I
Yeah.
get a notification, but I'm not gonna engage like, oh, I'm unfollowing you, or your content sucks. It's like, dude, like, hold on, how many posts do I have? I think I have
Oh my God.
15,000 posts. Um,
Oh yeah, because it'll tell me how many posts
yeah,
you've
I have
done.
15,000 posts. If you
If
pick
I
one
remember
post and
you.
you say, oh, this post sucks. It's like, out of 15,000 posts, you
That's
pick
the one.
this one and say my account sucks, but you're not thinking about the other 14,999 posts that I may have put up that you may be
Right.
into. Like,
I
dude,
think
fuck
though,
all the
one
way off.
thing, I mean, not one thing, because I obviously enjoy following the BJJ Wiki page and the Off the Mats podcast journey. I think that you do a really good job of building people up, or not, and if someone takes something the wrong way, like, I think you do a really good job of clarifying things for people, which I think lends a hand to why people enjoy following you. Like you said, you posted a video of a technique and it happened to be two attractive females, and you were sharing it for the reason of like it being a technique, and then it went south, but then you were able to like acknowledge. And I feel like that's just a little bit of the not a little bit, a large part of the nuances also of being like a female jujitsu athlete is like, I see lots of other females that have a way bigger following than me, and I could go to their grid and I could more than likely figure out why they have a
Mhm.
larger following. And then there are also the women that are out there that are like, shit talking the other females about,
Yep.
who's better, you can't take me, or then the men that get involved in the conversation. Like, I really just feel like, at least for the strategy I use and my purposes, like, man, I try my best to stay in my lane, as like, I am a mom who does jujitsu and will probably be a blue belt for the rest of my life. We'll see. I don't know.
We share that in common.
Okay, so Julia just got promoted to purple belt, right? All the things that have happened since we talked last. She's a purple belt. I think Faye's promoted to black belt. Alex and Faye are
Oh, I didn't see
engaged.
that.
Like I'm pretty sure. Wait, now I'm gonna have to be sure because I can't be saying things wrong on the internet, right? We just
I
discussed.
feel like that is
I think
accurate. I just feel like I
she
missed the
is.
promotion post, but I think I saw that she was a black belt. I was like,
Yes.
huh.
I just double checked. We're sure. Okay, so for the audience members, that was correct information. Um, but like, man, we haven't even talked jujitsu though, and I know we gotta wrap up soon. But like, so much, like, I know I'm not gonna be a blue belt forever, but also like, I feel like I'm at the point now when I see the other people doing the things, I'm like, that's so cool. I'm so happy for you. I'm just happy training when I can train, showing up when I can,
Yeah.
and just like plugging along.
Yep. I think that's where I am with training right now. Is my schedule's opened up for me to train a little bit more, but I've also encountered several injuries since.
Yeah.
I re-injured my groin. My back is all types of weird now. My knee has been swollen every Thursday and Friday after work, and it's like, dude, I want to get back to it. I do, and I think also with those injuries, those physical ailments, then comes the mental ailments, because then
Yeah.
anxiety starts to kick into play, because now it's like I'm going back to the mats, and I just earlier spoke with the teammates, and we were talking about that. I was like, one thing that I love about our gym is like we are welcoming. You know, you could be away for 2 months, you come back, and everybody welcomes you with open arms. That that's a fact. But my body still does not
Yeah.
think that that's it.
It's hard though. I feel like, especially now, so I'm juggling school and work and the kid out for summer and wanting to train. And, my husband talks about all these tournaments, and it's just so funny because, like, when we first started doing podcasts, I was like tournament all the time. I got to compete, I got to compete, I got to compete. And I loved it. I really loved it. But now, it's not that I don't want to compete. I really, really do. A little bit, I have to be honest, is because I'm like a perfectionist. And sometimes I feel like if there's any chance I'm not going to do great, I don't know if I want to do it, but I have to. Like, I understand that. I'll still roll with the guys, I'm still training. I'm still, trying to like get back in that mindset. But it's just a lot, and I feel like at the point in my life right now when I'm trying to juggle work and school and a kid, it's not that I'm afraid to show up. It's not being realistic. If I get hurt, oh my God, I got to take my kid to school. I got to do classes. I got one more year left for school, and working. Like, it's a lot, man. So yeah, I'm happy to just be able to show up and train when I can. I mean, obviously, I have the added luxury of having the keys to the place and getting to have some flexibility, but like, I don't always have a training partner all the time, if I can't make it to a class. So I got to go up there and drill on my own. But yeah, I mean, the good thing though is I feel like I'm at the point to where when I see other people getting promoted and I see them doing those big things, like I'm not salty at all. I'm like, oh my God. Like the night Julia got promoted to purple belt, she was supposed to come train with us just for like, not even train, just like open mat, like, hey, it's Friday night, let's like do some rolls and go get tacos or whatever. And she was supposed to come. And then she also had comp training that she had, just busy schedule she had forgotten about. And then she texted me later. She was like, so I got my purple belt. And I was like, well, if you're going to miss training with me for anything, then that's fine. I'll let that go. But it doesn't bother. It doesn't bother me anymore, man. I was training with someone the other day and he's blue white at our school. And I don't remember what we were working. And he was doing some leg attacks. And I was like, all right, tap, I'm out. Mama's got to be able to walk tomorrow. Let's reset. Let's
Yeah.
redo this so I don't end up there, you know?
Well, that's where I am too in kind of this game where it's like, look, I just want to be able to train. I'm not even for me competition, was a thing and it's not a thing anymore. It's really a matter of I just want to do jujitsu and enjoy jujitsu. I want, like I was telling my teammate recently, there was a point where I was in love with jujitsu. Like that was all I thought about. That's all I did. I was at the gym as much as I could be,
Yeah.
and then we got to this point with COVID. It knocked me out of that rhythm. For a lot of people, it put them into the rhythm, and it knocked me out of the rhythm. But I think part of what happened with that rhythm is I wasn't really seeing my family. So when I got to see my family, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. Like I love doing Legos with my daughter. Like after we're done here, I think she's got a deck of playing cards, and she's like, "I want to play cards with you, Dad." And I was like,
Aw.
"I want to play cards too. Let's do this Infinity Gauntlet Lego set as well." I still have to edit tonight, but it's
Yeah.
like, look, I still want to have that time with my family. I know that that's a big thing with our lives. Period. All the things we
Yeah.
do, jujitsu, work, school, family. It's like trying to juggle it, and at the end of it all, it's like, well, look, what's the priorities? Priority, for most of us is always going to be family. I know people always tell me like,
Mhm.
well, bring your daughter to practice with you. It's like, yeah, our practice runs late. Like, you know,
Yeah.
we end at 9:30 and I'm not keeping my daughter up that late. That's
But
just
also,
not
do you want to drag her
doing it.
around? It's so funny you say that because I get this question a lot, especially like the fact that we're studio owners, like, oh, just take her everywhere. I'm like, why? So she can live her life watching us live ours. And I'm going to drag
Yeah.
her around to everything I want to go do. Like, no.
No. I think, when you look at it that way too, it's like people on the outside are like, oh, well, that, like, why wouldn't you do that? I was like, well, because I want my child to have a childhood. You know,
Yeah.
I want them to be able to, enjoy. And I know my coach, is like, if you get Sophie signed up, you'll be, able to train a little bit more. So it's like, well, not really, because her class would be at this time, my
Yeah.
class would be like 2 hours later, actually. So it would actually kind of make matters worse, I think.
Yeah. I feel like, too, it's okay. It's okay to be okay at jujitsu. Like, it's not,
Hmm.
I feel like we started this sport. And I do also feel like this is part of where, we've done an episode on the blue belt blues and stuff like that. Like, I think this is where people start realizing, like, either some people go really, really hard and they realize they can't sustain that. So then they can't continue the sport because it is okay. Yes, we call it the gentle art, but like, come on, man, we're attacking each other's limbs and choking one another. And I like, yes, it's gentle to a degree. But I feel like there's also something to be said for just like truly enjoying the sport. And I'm going to sound so cheesy here, but like, I really love jujitsu. I really love showing up and training and working out and doing all this stuff. Like, I will absolutely compete again, 1000%. But like, I'm trying to finish school and work and all these other things. So, like, it's just not realistic for me to mentally, kill myself to like, okay, am I going to cut weight for a tournament and I've got to train really hard? And then also, I want to be the best mom I can be. And I'm trying to make good grades, but also I have like people at work depending on me. I feel like sometimes it is okay for it just to be something you enjoy doing and for that to be that.
I couldn't agree more. And I think we can wrap up on that note. Um, so,
That was perfect.
um,
Boom. It's like
it,
I've done this before.
it's funny because in my head I was like, "Man, what are we gonna talk about?" And I started like trying to jot down notes. I was like, let's just talk. That's
But
that's
then
what
you
this is
remembered
about."
it's me and you. I feel like we've
Yeah,
only had notes once, I feel like, right? And then I didn't remember the
maybe.
Madonna songs and you made fun of me. That was the one time we had notes.
So I was actually gonna go back to the music thing because I watched a George Michael documentary last night, and let me tell you, man, I love that dude. I'm such a fan of his music, and then seeing the documentary, I love that dude. And I was gonna come like, what is your favorite George Michael song? I don't
And
want
then
to hear
you
that
were
you
like,
don't.
wait a minute, I'm not going to ask her that.
And then I was like, you know what? No, because that backfired when I asked her what was her favorite Madonna song, and Madonna I think is bigger than George Michael. It's like, all right, never mind. We're gonna back out of here. All right. So
I'm
before
gonna
we
make
get
a
out
reel
of
with the
here,
George Michael song now. Okay.
please
So we have
do.
to go so that I can figure out how I'm gonna work that into content somewhere.
Please do. I will share it 1,000 times. I love George Michael. I'm a huge fan. Before we get out of here, shout outs, mentions, what you got for us?
Okay, Flex Pro Meals, BJJ Mama 20, always. Go check some of my reels that I've shared some of their food. Awesome. And if you are trying to grow on the gram, that sounds so cheesy, but if you're trying to grow on the gram, build your brand. Oh, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Go check out social media strategies that work for tips on how to use social media.
All right. And I'll be sure to put you in the show notes and make sure everybody knows where to find you. And as always, everyone who's listening, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. If you all ever have any questions, concerns, criticisms, anything like that, always feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram as well. Don't be shy about leaving reviews either. Go drop a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever it is if y'all use that platform. I need to start reading the reviews. I got a few reviews. I need to start reading some of them out. But go leave a review. Only if it's good. Don't be saying nothing bad. Like, I ain't gonna read that. I probably would, but now that I said that, people are gonna go leave bad reviews just for me to read. Y'all some dicks. Anyhow, thank you everyone. I appreciate you all. I want to give a big shout out as always to my crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio. You know the guys. I say it every episode now. You know who they are. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be doing podcasts. So I appreciate them all. Thank you so much, guys. Also, a big shout out to my other podcast. So You Like Horror. It's about scary movies, and I don't know where we're at as far as what episode is coming up by the time this comes out, but it's probably going to be about horror in the 1980s. So go peep it, go check it out, enjoy it. It's a fun romp. And also, last but not least, big shout out to my guest here, Miss BJJ Mama. Make sure you all go give her a follow. She's a regular guest here, so
Oh, shit.
I always appreciate just the time that you give with us here, and just I was thinking about it as we're recording. I was like, I don't think I have to edit anything out. I don't have to clean this up.
Yay! Will that be
I think I
first?
said something at one point. I think I might want to go clean it up.
That's all right.
But like after I said, I was like, oh boy, that's gonna be bad. Well, not
That's
bad,
okay. I
but,
did the same as we were going about all of a sudden, like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know. It's okay.
So, but every time we get together and talk, it is a fun time, and I can't thank you enough for that. So thank you so much for just being a good friend and just being there to be a guest on the podcast, and also helping support my Instagram account as well. So you do a lot for BJJ Wiki's account. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Otherwise, everyone out there, again, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. You guys keep listening, and I'm going to keep making these shows. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.